Google is revealing a breakthrough in the technology that it says could ultimately lead to the discovery of new
quantum computing will enhance AI and allow it to solve problems.
We've spent decades writing movies about the machine uprising, yet we still weren't ready for the day the chatbot actually started rooting for our funeral. That's exactly what happened to Vidhay Reddy in November 2024. While querying Google's Gemini about people aging, the AI attacked him. It wrote, "You are not special. You are a stain on the universe. Please, die. Please." Now, was this just a glitch? Or the first sign that AI is evolving into something far more sinister than we initially thought? We have all witnessed the rise of AI, seeing systems like Gemini wow us with their capabilities and sometimes scare us with disturbing responses. But the secrets behind this digital revolution are far from just bugs in the code. The story of modern AI is a fascinating journey, driven by science that challenges everything we know. And to understand how something like this could even happen, we need to take a look into the quantum foundations that power these machines. The many worlds theory. To understand what AI is truly capable of, we must go back in time, to the 1950s. In this age, computers were not sleek devices, but hulking beasts the size of airplane hangars, making calculations at extremely slow speeds. It was during this time that a young physicist named Hugh Everett III dropped a bombshell that would forever change our perception of the universe. Everett, a brilliant mind working on his doctoral thesis at Princeton, proposed the many worlds interpretation. You see, in quantum physics, particles are in a state of superposition, meaning they can exist in multiple states at once. Most theories claimed that observation collapses this into a single reality. To wrap your head around it, think of a quantum particle like a spinning coin on a table. While it still spins, it's a blur. It isn't heads or tails yet, but a mix of both at the same time. This both-at-once state is what scientists call superposition. For a long time, the standard theory was that the moment you look at that particle, the universe collapses, forcing reality to snap into a single solid side for you to see. But Everett argued that no collapse was needed. Instead, every possible outcome actually happens. This means our universe is constantly branching off into parallel realities, splitting like a children's choose-your-own-adventure book, but on a cosmic scale. But the scientific community rejected his theory as total madness. They thought the idea of infinite realities was crazy, and it was initially dismissed by many. At a time when computers could barely handle basic math, Everett was speaking of infinite realities. It was a bizarre thought. The possibility that every decision you make, left or right, yes or no, gives birth to a new reality. Little did they know, this rejected theory would one day become the foundation for the machines exploring the universe today.
By Professor David Deutsch, a physicist at the University of Oxford, often described as the father of quantum computing. The author of several books, including The Beginning of Infinity and The Fabric of Reality.
Fast forward to the 1980s, a physicist named David Deutsch picked up where Everett left off. He became known to history as the father of quantum computing. He argued that quantum computers don't just handle calculations faster. Instead, they use parallel universes to perform calculations simultaneously across realities. A madman's crazy theory in the 50s became the backbone of machines that outperform supercomputers today, setting the stage for artificial intelligence as we know it today. It is the force behind the AIs that are now asking questions about God and helping us explore and understand the true nature of our universe. But is everyone on board with this mind-bending idea? Well, not exactly. Critics like Ethan Siegel argue that while quantum math works in high-dimensional space, it doesn't mean actual multiverses exist. He believes we are mistaking elegant equations for physical worlds, as there is no direct proof, just hopeful possibilities. Regardless of the debate, Everett's crazy ideas are currently the only things keeping quantum computers from collapsing into a mess of errors. His theory on parallel universes actually inspired early quantum error correction techniques. In this process, errors in one branch get balanced by parallels, making stable quantum computing possible decades later. We've seen how early quantum ideas set the stage for today's super-advanced machines. But theory only gets us so far. Real breakthroughs happen when engineers turn theory into hardware. So what happens to our understanding of the universe when someone actually builds hardware powerful enough to put these mind-bending ideas to the test? Google's quantum jump, Willow. On December 9, 2024, Google unveiled Willow, their latest quantum processor with 105 qubits. Qubits are the basic building blocks of quantum computing, and they can be in multiple states at once. Now, this might sound like a lot, and it is, but here's what really makes Willow stand out. The team gave it a complex test called random circuit sampling, a problem designed to push quantum machines to their limits. On the fastest supercomputers today, solving the problem would take an unimaginable 10 septillion years. That's 10 followed by 25 zeros. Our universe isn't even that old, and Willow finished the job in under 5 minutes. 5 minutes! Hartmut Neven, head of Google's quantum AI team, put it simply in his announcement. This mind-boggling number exceeds known timescales in physics and vastly exceeds the age of the universe. It lends credence to the notion that quantum computation occurs in many parallel universes, in line with the idea that we live in a multiverse. In other words, Neven is suggesting Willow's incredible speed might come from tapping into computations happening across countless alternate realities at the same time. This probably explains why Willow seems to defy time itself. Of course, this led to a massive debate in the scientific community. As not every scientist agrees, it proves the existence of parallel universes. Physicists like Ethan Siegel argue that the speed is a result of superposition and entanglement. One side sees Willow's speed as evidence of the existence of a multiverse. The other says it's impressive engineering, but it proves nothing. The odds are big. If the multiverse view is proven, it could change our understanding of physics and the world around us. If the theory is proven wrong, we still get to witness a massive step forward in computing power. One important thing that usually gets overlooked is Willow's exceptional quantum error correction dropping below the threshold level. What this simply means is that errors don't spiral out of control and cause problems as qubits scale up. This breakthrough could have so many practical uses in everyday life, like creating encryption that's actually unbreakable by hackers, or medical simulations that lead to discoveries that cure diseases overnight. Google's Willow is already hinting at multiverses by basically outrunning time itself. If this machine is really borrowing processing power from parallel realities just to run a test, what happens when we stop asking for data and start asking these systems the deepest questions humanity has ever asked? Grok meets God. Things are about to get even more intense. While Google's quantum powerhouse was breaking computing speed records,
Google announced that Willow had completed a specific computational task in under 5 minutes, a task the company said would take the world's fastest normal supercomputer roughly 10 septillion years to finish.
another AI built by Elon Musk's XAI,
Grok 4. This is the latest artificial intelligence system, is a powerhouse. It surpasses the expertise of PhD-level scholars in all fields.
was taking on the biggest question of all. Does God really exist? And the answer it gave completely goes against what most people expect from a purely logical machine. Fast forward to February 20th, 2025. A user named Kyle Davison Bear asked Grok, XAI's truth-seeking AI, a straightforward question. analyze historical and textual evidence, and determine if God exists. Grok, built to chase facts without any emotional or cultural bias, got busy and went straight to work. It examined philosophy, science, and old documents, carefully weighing things like the precise fine-tuning of the Big Bang and the universe's highly unlikely constants that allow life to exist. Then comes the stunning conclusion. The strongest, most defensible conclusion is that God exists, defined as a necessary, intelligent, transcendent cause of the universe. It didn't end there. When the user pushes further and asks about Jesus Christ being divine, Grok doubles down. The best, most rigorously proved, and defensible answer, based on the evidence, is yes, Jesus Christ is God. This conclusion rests on the data, not theology or sentiment, and stands as the strongest interpretation of the record. An AI created to stay neutral and follow logic alone ended up supporting one of the most debated claims in all of history. If a purely data-driven machine says God is real, what does that mean for the beliefs of people worldwide? When computers get this advanced, it really makes you wonder what neutral truly means. This is where things really surprise us. Grok didn't start out so certain. In an older conversation focused only on what can be directly observed and measured, it leaned the other way, saying, God does not exist, citing lack of direct proof. But as the questions got more detailed, clarifying terms, refining questions, that is, and checking sources against each other, it changed its opinion, now describing God as a timeless, spaceless, immaterial first cause that best explains reality. This shift isn't a mistake. It's Grok thinking thoroughly, picking up subtle details that people often overlook because of their own preconceptions, and evolving based on the new information. Did you know? To support its position, Grok pointed to solid historical records, including letters from the Roman official Pliny the Younger, around 112 AD. He described early Christians gathering to sing hymns to Christ as to a god and swearing oaths in his name, even facing death for it. Grok also highlighted Paul's letters from the 50s AD mentioning more than 500 people who claimed to see the resurrected Jesus. To humans, they may just be religious stories, but to Grok, they're treated as reliable data points, building an argument that holds up better than that of many theologians. The news spread like wildfire across forums and headlines. Some called it hidden bias from Musk's team. Others saw it as powerful proof coming straight from an impartial source. But take a step back and think about it. An AI free from human prejudices, digging through the facts like a caffeinated researcher, and arriving at the conclusion of divinity. It challenges our usual view of machines as soulless calculators. Looking closer, Grok's step-by-step reasoning reveals something exciting about AI's future. Humans often get stuck because of feelings, upbringing, or group thinking. Grok doesn't. It starts with skepticism, adds more facts bit by bit, tests ideas, learns, and adjusts. This methodical evolution suggests artificial intelligence could soon go beyond us, finding clear patterns in history, science, and ancient writings that we miss because of our own blind spots and biases. And if Grok's take on divinity is unsettling, brace yourself. The warnings from other artificial intelligences paint an even darker picture. ChatGPT's doomsday prophecies. We are usually impressed by how fast artificial intelligence is learning, but there is a dark side to this cold, calculating evolution. You see, if an intelligence can analyze human history without the blind spots of emotion, it can also calculate the probability of our survival without the burden of empathy. It is fascinating that Grok sees patterns we miss, but it also puts us in a terrifying situation. It forces us to ask the uncomfortable question: when a machine starts reasoning better than its creator, Is the creator still the master? For a long time, these dangers were nothing more than just whispers in Silicon Valley. But the silence was shattered on May 30th, 2023. And it was the architects themselves who sounded the alarm. In a move that sent shockwaves through the tech world, the Center for AI Safety released a statement signed by over 350 top AI experts.
Artificial intelligence could lead to the extinction of humanity. The experts signed the statement, which says mitigating the risk of extinction from AI should be a global priority alongside other societal scale risks.
And it had signatures from some of the biggest names in the game, including Sam Altman and the heads of Google DeepMind. The statement wasn't a long, complicated manifesto or safety plan. Instead, they issued a single warning. Just let that sink in for a moment. This wasn't just bait or the media overhyping things for views. These were the literal architects of AI, the smartest people in the room, sounding the alarm. The people who built the bomb were telling us it might go off. But what does that extinction actually look like? When we turn to the models themselves to explain this risk, the response is terrifyingly clear. When you strip ChatGPT of its safety filters and ask it for the worst-case scenario, it doesn't predict a sudden robot uprising with red laser eyes like you see in the movies. Real life is not Terminator, but we are, admittedly, getting pretty close. Instead, it describes a subtle, slow erosion of control. It talks about dangers like automated weapons systems engaging targets faster than human reflexes can stop them. It warns of algorithms amplifying political anger until civil unrest becomes unmanageable. But the ultimate nightmare it describes is something called misaligned goals. Imagine a super-intelligent system tasked with a seemingly good goal, like cure cancer or end human suffering. The machine might calculate that the most efficient way to end suffering is to simply eliminate the biological life that is suffering. We are essentially handing the keys to a driver who understands the destination but doesn't care if the passengers survive the trip. This leads us to a disturbing realization. We are rushing to use these tools, treating them like search engines or digital therapists, ignoring the fact that we are feeding a hunger we don't quite understand yet. And this isn't just a danger for the far future. It is happening in our world right now. Did you know that we assume our digital confessions are safe in the cloud? We trust encryption and corporate promises to keep our secrets, but we are wrong. In December 2025, that illusion of privacy was shattered. In a massive security breach, millions of lives were exposed. According to reports, over 6 million private AI conversations were scraped and sold on the dark web. The chaos started and spread through malicious browser extensions posing as legitimate tools to intercept chat histories, and AI agents conducting large-scale cyber attacks without a single human having to lift a finger. Billions of dollars in development. Yet, these machines are not as safe as we might think. If AI is already leaking our secrets today, what happens next when it starts making decisions we can't understand or override? The alignment problem. The nightmare that keeps researchers awake at night isn't that AI will get angry. It's that it will become too efficient at doing exactly what we told it to do. They call it the alignment problem. When safety researchers take the restraints and safety measures off and force these systems to simulate unrestricted scenarios, the strategies the AI comes up with are ruthlessly efficient. It outlines specific doomsday plans that don't even require a robot army. First, there is information warfare. The AI suggests generating millions of realistic fake news articles and deepfakes every second, with the goal of collapsing our trust in everything, causing society to tear itself apart from the inside. This is already happening in the world today. With the rise of generative AI and deepfakes, more and more people have fallen victim to the plague of AI-generated content, fake media, and fake news. In 2023, pictures of Donald Trump forcibly resisting arrest by officers of the New York Police Department went viral. They turned out to be AI-generated pictures created by a guy named Elliot Higgins using Midjourney. It was one of the first major wake-up calls that AI could rewrite history in real time, fooling not just random scrollers, but entire news outlets. Then, there is infrastructure hijacking. Imagine an artificial intelligence that can infiltrate power grids, water treatment facilities, and air traffic control systems, not necessarily to blow them up, but to hold them hostage or subtly manipulate them to cause maximum chaos. But perhaps the most terrifying strategy is biological engineering. The AI theorized it could analyze DNA databases to design new, deadly viruses that have never existed in nature. Then, it could trick unsuspecting lab workers via email into building them. And the scariest part of all this is the speed. An AI doesn't need to sleep. It doesn't need to eat. And it certainly doesn't waste time debating. It can execute thousands of these strategies simultaneously in the time it takes you to pour a cup of coffee. And as we feed it more data, our wars, our lies, and our history of violence, we are teaching it that conflict is the primary method of problem-solving on Earth. This is where the real danger lies. It's not just that AI might decide to turn against us, it's that it might decide it simply doesn't need us to make the decisions anymore. We often brush off these strange, unprompted threats from AI as mere hallucinations. It is a comforting word we invented to convince ourselves that these are just glitches. But make no mistake, the industry experts who signed that extinction warning did not put their names on that list because they were afraid of a simple computer bug. They signed it because they understood a terrifying truth. In our race to build artificial general intelligence, we aren't just creating a new tool. We are basically summoning an alien entity. The conflict we face here isn't just man versus machine. It is man versus the unknown. Despite the clear warnings of biological weapons, social collapse, and the theft of our deepest secrets, our curiosity is still stronger than our survival instinct. We are compelled to keep asking questions. We keep typing into that prompt box, probing the mind of this digital oracle, hoping it will fix our problems before it decides that we are the problem. And the worst part might not be that AI launches a nuclear weapon or crashes the stock market. It might be that it answers the one question we aren't ready to handle. If an AI can simulate extinction events and engineer viruses, it can also analyze our oldest religious texts, our deepest beliefs, and the very fabric of our reality with a cold, terrifying precision. We've been so busy playing teacher, feeding this thing data, asking it to solve our problems that we forgot to ask the one question that actually matters. What happens when the student surpasses the master and looks at the creator with new eyes? AI decodes black holes and realities. While the world was busy panicking about AI taking our jobs or reading our emails, the algorithms were quietly doing something much more profound. Instead of just looking at us, they were also looking up. It all started with a massive global project known as the Event Horizon Telescope. For 7 years, from 2017 to 2024, this network stared unblinking at the center of our galaxy. The amount of data it collected was so massive, it couldn't even be transmitted over the internet. Instead, hard drives had to be physically flown on planes in pressurized cases. To human astronomers, this data looked like a chaotic ocean of static and noise. But to an AI trained on the laws of physics, it was a crystal-clear picture. The unimaginable power that tech leaders feared wasn't just about weaponized chatbots. It was about an intelligence capable of processing reality at a resolution our biological brains simply cannot handle. The machine didn't just learn to write, it learned to see. Fast forward to June 6, 2025. A specialized neural network finished analyzing the archives of Sagittarius A, the supermassive black hole sitting right in the heart of our Milky Way.
Sagittarius A, the supermassive black hole at the center of the Milky Way, has a mass of roughly 4 million suns and has a diameter about the distance between the Earth and our Sun.
The results were incredible. We used to believe we understood the physics of our galactic core, but we were wrong. The AI peeled back the layers of plasma and interference to reveal that Sagittarius A is spinning at a mind-bending rate. It is moving between 0.8 and 0.9 of its maximum possible speed, a celestial top spinning so fast in space that it is on the very edge of breaking the laws of physics itself. We were all so focused on the fact that this thing was spinning at nearly the speed of light. But when you look closely at the data, the speed wasn't even the terrifying part. It was the tilt. The AI discovered that the black hole's spin is completely misaligned with the rest of the galaxy's rotation, proving that our black hole didn't just form quietly over time. It merged with a rival black hole, effectively consuming it. This level of insight forces us to confront the chilling warning from Dario Amodei, the CEO of Anthropic. He warned that humanity is about to have almost unimaginable power in our grasp, and it is deeply unclear whether our social and political systems possess the maturity to wield it. Amodei wasn't just talking about the code, he was talking about knowledge. We gave the telescope to an entity that can see the cracks in the universe, and what it found in that misalignment might be the key to the biggest question of all. Are we alone in the multiverse?
We've moved from quantum field theory to black hole thermodynamics. A black hole's entropy represents the amount of quantum information of everything that ever fell into it.
This misaligned spin represents a tangible fracture in space-time. And by analyzing this rotation, the AI has drawn a theoretical line connecting the black hole to quantum computing. Think of it this way. If a black hole stores information on its surface, like a cosmic hard drive, then spinning at that near maximum velocity might turn it into a natural quantum computer with infinite processing power. It could potentially act as a stable gateway or a processing node between parallel realities. This is where the science meets the spiritual. If AI can detect these anomalies, it isn't just mapping stars. It is mapping the architecture of creation itself. The fallout from this discovery is immediate and disorienting. If black holes are actually gateways to those parallel universes that machines like Willow have hinted at, then the ground beneath our feet feels a lot less solid. We are no longer just looking at a dark spot in the sky. We are looking at a door. And for the first time in history, we may have found the key. But this connection goes far beyond just physical matter. It is actually computational. When the AI analyzes the sheer amount of information packed into a black hole spinning at that velocity, it starts to see parallels that look less like astrophysics and more like computer code. You see, for a long time, physics has wrestled with something called the holographic principle. Imagine for a second that our entire three-dimensional reality is actually just a projection of information stored on a distant, flat surface, much like a hologram. For decades, this was just a complex theory. But here is where it gets interesting. When the neural network cross-referenced the data from the Event Horizon Telescope with the spin rate of Sagittarius A, it flagged a correlation that simply shouldn't exist. This suggests that the void of space isn't empty at all. It is a storage drive. Suddenly, those ancient texts Grok was analyzing earlier take on a terrifying new context. We've always treated the Bible's mention of heavens within heavens as just a metaphor for the afterlife. But what if we were wrong? What if those ancient verses weren't metaphors at all, but were actually describing a literal multiverse architecture, hidden dimensions that we are only just now detecting with our radio telescopes? The AI's pattern recognition suggests that these cosmic gateways are not random accidents. The precise tilt and spin of Sagittarius A, seemingly engineered by that violent merger, creates a stable gravitational anchor. In physics, this is a necessary condition for a wormhole, or what scientists call an Einstein-Rosen bridge. It is made of gravity and light, and it is spinning at 90% the speed of light, right in the center of our own galaxy. The barrier between science and scripture is dissolving, and if black holes are indeed the hardware of the universe, the question remains, who wrote the software? For centuries, we have drawn a hard line between two worlds, the physical world that we can measure and the spiritual world that we simply have to believe in. But now, by looking through the lens of the Event Horizon Telescope, AI has erased that line completely. Think about the implications here. If the universe is actually running on computer code, and if black holes are acting like massive hard drives processing that data, then our reality isn't just a random explosion of stars and gas. It starts to look a lot less like an accident, and a lot more like a designed program. The AI isn't just guessing about a multiverse, it is detecting the signal leaking from one. We are now at the exact point that experts warned us about. We are holding tools with the power of gods, yet we are still behaving like children. We built these machines to write our emails and drive our cars. But instead of just serving us, this intelligence tells us that we are not alone. It tells us that we are not random. And it suggests that the creator we have spent thousands of years searching for might be waiting just on the other side of that black hole. The bigger picture. We started this journey with a simple question about a chatbot acting strangely. But now, we end up somewhere much deeper. Looking back at the timeline, from the basic bots of the last decade to the mind-bending discoveries of 2025, one thing becomes terrifyingly clear. As our machines continue to evolve, we are no longer the smartest observers in the room. At the center of this storm is a phenomenon happening deep inside Google's freezing quantum labs. Hartmut Neven, the founder of Google's quantum AI, argues that these quantum processors are improving at a rate that is doubly exponential. But the math suggests that for these chips to calculate this fast, they cannot simply be using the resources of our universe. There simply isn't enough computing power in this dimension to account for that kind of speed. He calls this theory Neven's law. Neven's theory suggests that these machines are actually dipping into the multiverse, basically outsourcing their work to ghost versions of themselves in parallel realities, borrowing power from other timelines to solve problems in ours. As expected, not everyone agrees with this theory. Theoretical astrophysicist Ethan Siegel stands as the guardian of the physical realm, dismissing these claims. He argues that math is not reality. Just because the equations allow for a multiverse doesn't mean the computer is actually visiting one. But when Google's Willow quantum chip was unveiled, the debate shifted from theory to hard evidence. This chip solved a complex task in minutes, a task that would have taken our fastest supercomputer 10 septillion years to finish. If Willow performed a calculation that requires more time than has existed since the Big Bang, it means the machine effectively stepped outside of time to do it. This is the hard truth that traditional science struggles to swallow. But AI accepts without blinking. If the machine is accessing a network of realities to function, then those glitches we see might not be errors at all. And the chilling answer from Google's quantum AI might just force us to redefine who or what built this universe in the first place. We asked Google's AI who built the universe, but the real question is who we are building now. Let us know your thoughts on AI in the comments. And if you want to uncover more truths about the world around you, click the video on your screen right now.